part from the first semester, or as we go forward and in the third semester when we choose what we really want to do, that's when it would be added to our curriculum according to what subjects we have opted for at the end, or it will be the part of the curriculum from the first semester?
Right from the beginning, it's not a separate.
And it's very different from the way it used to be, and we're trying to figure out a way that would best suit our students. But they certainly will get instruction.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Maybe wait for the mic.
So yeah, this liberal arts course is a 3 year course. But if a student after graduating from Jindal school wants to pursue a graduate course or a postgraduate course from abroad, there the requirement is minimum 16 years of education. So how do you address this gap of 1 year? After 10 plus 2 plus 3, there is a gap of 1 year. How does Jindal Global School wants to address this gap?
Sean is going to take it.
Yeah, if I can speak to this actually.
Without a microphone, you just speak up.
Projection. Okay. So yes, I can tell you that the idea of it necessarily needing to be 4 years of university education, it's not as axiomatic as it may seem. So I can speak for my own program. I'm having students getting into American master's programs with a 3-year BA from our programs. But I think it used to be this way. But I think that universities, in addition to the question about standardized tests, the SATs, ACTs, many universities are getting rid of those. Major specifications, many universities are getting rid of those or going with self-designed majors. It's not as, again, this is from my own experience, I'm finding that students are getting into full master's programs in Britain, in the United States, and in Canada. So.
Remember, we had Delhi University trying to go into a 4-year program, and that was struck down. So the government actually doesn't allow it. So unfortunately, universities cannot do beyond a point what is not their mandate. I'm assuming there's just a law. Correct. So I think that, this is what everyone with an undergrad, whether you're doing a BA in history from Delhi University or you're doing a journalism course, a bachelor's in journalism, every child that wants to go abroad, every student that wants to go abroad after that struggles with this issue of a 1-year gap. And that's really something that continues to be different ways. I think you were suggesting that there are ways that some universities take students after the undergrad, without the 4th year. So you have to find those ways, or you have people who intern. We have a lot of people who come and intern in our organization as work experience, then hoping that gets counted as an education year. But currently, the government doesn't allow a 4-year program.
If I could add this very quickly, I really believe firmly that the BAs that we have here, especially the ones with more of a liberal arts component, like the journalism school, more than prepare students to be able to do full master's programs abroad.
Can you hold just 1 second, sir?
Meeting the necessary requirement of 4-year education. Now, I came across certain universities in India which are offering liberal arts. What they have circumvented this issue is by providing an optional 4th year at the discretion of the student, whether they would like to spend 1 more year at the university, take a 4-year degree course and be eligible with the necessary requirement. Is that something you have thought through, or is it still a question mark?
What we're saying is that it's not the requirement that this is not a universal requirement.
Universities abroad, where you, after finishing your undergraduate in India, you go and do your master's, for example, in the School of Oriental and African Studies in London, you finish everything.
Precisely.
So the 4-year requirement is in North America primarily, right? It's North America, not Europe, not England, right? So actually India inherited the British model of 3-year undergrad degrees. That has been the standard in England and throughout Europe actually. So what you often do, actually British universities themselves are struggling with this model, because students from British universities now want to go to the US. So the idea is to introduce this 4th year in a somewhat backhand process. And sometimes, the 4th year is simply not productive, in many cases, even abroad. So I think traditionally what Indian students have done is to do a master's degree after that. So they do a 5-year degree. And I don't think that it's a waste. I think another year of study after your 4th year, 5 years, it's really worth it. And I can say from my experience that you stand in very good stead thereafter. And often, master's degree courses in the US, they are usually combined with a PhD degree, right? So basically you have a 4-year undergrad degree and an MA PhD combined degree. Theoretically, right after 4 years from an Indian university or from most universities, you can get into the MA PhD combined program. It rarely happens. And a master's degree, a good master's degree from an Indian university is very, very highly rated everywhere in the world. So I think it is probably worth considering a 2-year master's after undergrad as well. And 1 year is really not a big deal.
Just wanted to add what Ishan said. So it's better to always do a plus 2 years of masters before pursuing a degree abroad, because often the scholarship that is available to students that might increase the financial aid once they have a master's and a decent score in that master's from an Indian university before they go there.
It also depends upon where you want to get in, actually, what kind of school you want to get in. If you are up for any master's or PhD program in the US, you can do a 1-year shoddy 4th year and go there. But if you want to get into a good school, an Indian master's, I think, is really the gold standard everywhere.
Well, listen,
I think there's another question.
oh, sorry, yes.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So my question is regarding the provide me to select another language than my own language in the course. In the first semester itself, if I talk about Mandarin or French, like supposedly if I took French in class 10th and I want to pursue French here, so will Jindal will allow me to take that as a part in the first year course? Thank you.
That may change, but certainly in the second year and thereafter. It's French, Spanish, Mandarin, German,
And Dari.
Yes, exactly. When I talk about Mandarin as one of the most important languages and one of the most demanded languages in the world, then can I be allowed to take that as my elective in the 3rd year semester, possibly, in that case, or it depends?
See, the languages are part of electives in some schools. They
or
are
required in other.
or you can also opt for it as just as a course. Okay, it's not going to be made compulsory, but it is going to be there, and the timing of the language courses are made such so that it doesn't really interfere with your regular classes.
And we will help.
So you can opt for that.
And if there is some interference, we will try to make sure that you can take languages. And it's very important to have another language.
Thank you so much. That's all the question. Thank you so much.
Career opportunities would be available after the course is over? Like, can we have a job for like a year and then we can continue with our post-graduation?
See, you will be, we will help you, and this is compulsory that At the end of each semester, you will be doing an internship. And we encourage our students, we want them to be exposed not just with media, but also, say, with civil society organizations, with non-governmental organizations, with media, with other communication houses. And after the 3-year graduation, you will be, obviously, there isn't a guarantee, but we will try and help you place in areas of your choice. When you talk about communications, something that I've been telling students that, this is one area and one field which probably has the largest number of jobs. If you ask me why, anywhere between NASA to your Prime Minister's office, between a private and a public institution, every single organization, institution on this planet has a communication office, has a communication wing, and that has become much more robust over the last 5 years, 10 years than it used to be. So, these days, from politics to a university out here, it's almost led by communication wings. So, in that sense, you will have your horizon, your job horizon is very, very large and wide.
Thank you, and I have one more question, which is whether films would be included in a curriculum or not.
Pardon?
Films would be included in a curriculum or not?
See, we will not teach you how to make films, because this is not a film school, but we will have an elective where which will explain to you understanding films, or the whole politics of films, the art of filmmaking. But it's not going to be, you're not going to pass out from here and become a filmmaker. Though most filmmakers did not go to film schools, so you can still make a film.
Thank you.
We've decided we can't teach everything that that's possible. We're a relatively small group. We want to be tightly focused, but there will be opportunities if you really want to make films. There'll be opportunities elsewhere. Okay. Well, this marks a break in the program. A break in the program. I haven't forgotten. What we're going to do is we're going to ask those who have spoken, give them a round of applause, and ask them to join the audience. And I'm going to ask Shalaja to stay on the podium since she hasn't spoken yet. Others are, close. Okay, for the last part of the morning program, it gives me great pleasure to have a conversation with Shalaja Bajpai. But first, before we have our conversation, you're going to have to do like everyone else and introduce yourself.
So hi, good afternoon.
Let me just interrupt for 1 second. It is also my great pleasure to announce that Shalaja will be joining us full-time in July.
Thank you. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I've been a journalist since 1983, before many of you were born, at least in the front row. And I belong to print media. I've worked with the Times of India, the Hindustan Times, India Today Group, but really my natural home has been the Indian Express. And I continue to be there today. I'm a consulting editor as of now. And I will complete that in June, and I'm really looking forward to being here after that in July. I began as a feature writer. I went on to do a lot of production and make those pages someone asked about. And then I moved on to actually bringing out a magazine and being an editor at times at India Today, and then returned in 1992 to write a column on the media and television. Those were the years, those of you who were there with us. 1992, there was the explosion of television, and so I inherited a television column, a weekly column, which I've written ever since. I must be one of the few people who's actually paid to watch television, right? And I will continue to write that column while I'm here at Jindal. And in between, now that's where I think I fit in here, is that the Indian Express in 2009 launched the Express Institute of Media Studies, which was a one-year postgraduate program in journalism. And I was both dean and director of that center. And many of those students today are working in different organizations, including the Indian Express, the Times of India, the Economic Times. Basically, obviously, you would see the emphasis was on print because that's what the Indian Express was known for, although I must add that we did do courses in broadcast and online. I think I'm here to feed in to the journalism skills part of your program. Obviously, that's where I come from, that's what I know. And before I begin to talk with Tom, I just say this, that for me really, the classroom is the newsroom. Okay? And that's what we hope will happen here. We are not here to lecture you, but to work with you into producing the best journalists that we possibly can. And I really do believe, and that's why I'm here, to make sure that that kind of thing happens, that you spend your time in a virtual newsroom of whichever kind you like. Thank you, and it's a privilege to be here.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask some questions, but I'm also going to encourage, the last part where people are asking questions is so much better than me talking. So I want you to ask questions too. And if you don't, I'll ask you to ask questions. I'll call on you. But let me start with an easy one. Why? Don't look at my questions.
Cheating.
Back when you were in college, why did you decide to become a journalist? Did you have members of your family?
It's not going to sound at all good. Yes, my father actually did work with Reuters, and he was he reported on the day that we were independent, 1947. And there's only one place that you should report from, and that was the bar of the press club. And that's where he sat and reported on it. He worked for Reuters at the time. So yes, he went to Columbia back then in the 30s. But I wish I could say that was the reason I joined journalism. I went to Lady Shri Ram College. I did a degree in English literature. And then I found many students who came when I had to interview them coming to the Express Institute. So why do you want to do journalism? And invariably, almost the answer would be, well, ma'am, I like to write. And so there it is. I also like to write. I thought I was going to be a novelist. By the way, I have written one novel, but none of you need to read it if you don't want to. It's okay. So at the time, 1983, there wasn't very much you could do with a degree in literature. You could go into advertising, and the other option was journalism, really. And at that time, in our time, it was only print. So by default, I have to admit, I went. But having gone, I've had the time of my life. And I think that's what matters, that I have done so many things, and I have learned so much, and things I never knew anything about, and I don't think any other profession would have allowed me to learn those things, but I don't think I'm going to tell you all that just now. I think I'll save that for the classroom. No, I'm just saying that every day, I think, people say, why journalism? And so before he asks me one of those questions, because I'm sure it's coming, is that, every day is a new day and it's an adventure in a way that I don't think any other profession gives you. There are no 2 days that are the same in what you might be asked to write about, but you open your mind to. I mean, every day something else is happening in this country, in the world, in different fields, be it sports, film, and so I'm not talking only about politics or international relations and North Korea and Trump, but it's in films, which I think many of us love. So where do you get that? Where can I go every day and think, oh my God, there was no way any of us could have imagined that there would be this drama at the Supreme Court the other night. But there it was, we were all sitting and watching it. I mean, it's such a privilege to be sitting in a newsroom and to have all your colleagues who cover different things sharing that with you, and suddenly you learn so much more about the complexities and yet also the simplicities of things, because they're also really simple. I mean, one of the things I've discovered is that politics isn't all that complex, right? So you've nothing to be scared of to cover it, right? Or economics, although I still am not sure what the fiscal deficit is, but it doesn't matter. It's okay. Someone else will cover that beat. So I think that's it. I can't think of any job, any office where you go every day thinking, I just don't know what's going to happen today. I mean, isn't that the best reason?
Sounds good. So you said earlier that you were one of the few people, maybe the only person you know, who's paid to watch television. Do you ever count the number of hours you spend watching television a week?
There are far too many, and far more than should be good for anybody. You're told, no, if you're a couch potato, and I'm what they call an armchair journalist, right? I sit and I watch and I make notes, and then I have opinions. Someone asked about opinions, and I'm also paid to give my opinion, But it has to be an informed opinion, and that's where that marriage of opinion and facts comes in. There's no question. You can't be a journalist if you don't know the facts, and you can only form opinions on the basis of some facts. Otherwise, you're not a journalist, right? So we marry the two, yeah. And I've asked for that here too, if I may. I might as well put it out now, so it's on record. I want the television and wherever I sit. And I keep a track. Yeah, one is enough. One's at home, 2 at home, not in the bedroom only. And so the thing is, yes, I do watch. I keep it on most of the day. In office, it's on all the day. I sort of do a round of all the news channels in the morning. And if I see something interesting, make a note, otherwise I just move on. I frequently, and I try and watch, actually, the channels I dislike the most. Because, I have to know why do I dislike them, what's wrong with them. There's no point watching what you like. There's no point watching BBC, although, mind you, today you should all be watching BBC because it's the Meggie show, right? As I'm told it's called now. Harry marries Meghan, right? So it's called, CNN or BBC called it the Medi Show last night. And so it's on all day if you don't want to watch Karnataka at 4. It's up to you. See, you have a choice, and you can report on both. So I'm already making that connection in my mind. The way the television is covering the wedding and how we're covering, let's say, Karnataka. 2 very disparate things. And that's the other thing about journalism, I think, that we don't always appreciate, is how you always have to make connections between seemingly discrete, disparate subjects. You never know when something you've seen in the IPL, because all the headlines are cricket headlines so often for politics or international relations. So, there's that interconnectivity. But just to go back to the question, I watch seriously about 3.5 hours a day. The rest is scam, skip. 3 to 3.5 hours a day at least, and counting.
And when you go home and relax, do you watch television?
No, I can't watch television for relaxation any longer. I'm deprived of that, Now, it's work. Even when I'm watching something I like to watch, it's just changed.
What do you like to watch?
Yesterday I was watching a murder mystery. I love murder mysteries. So, but I watch IPL in the background, you know. It's like cricket is a background, it's like background music for me now. I'm a great sports fan, so.
Okay. How do you reach a balance of being critical but not too critical? So,
Increasingly difficult these days, as all of you who watch news at least know. I should say I also try and watch the serials. I know, you know, but I do watch soaps a great deal and know more than I should probably about them. I don't think a column like this can be written unless there's some degree of humor and self-deprecation. One shouldn't take it too seriously. So I not take oneself too seriously. So yeah, I think the thing is to be a little comparative and be careful not to be personal, so that you know, I don't think that's something in journalism we have the luxury of being. Try and keep it impersonal and professional. And as I said, this business that it must be informed opinion. I can't just say I don't like the serial or I like the news. I have to give you a reason why. And if I don't do that, then I failed as a journalist.
Can you make international comparisons amongst television, say in India versus television elsewhere?
Well, it's funny you say that. I was thinking this morning in my mind on how to write a column or try to write a column in which, say, BBC were covering the Karnataka crisis. Is everyone here aware of the Karnataka crisis? And what's going on, so that I'm not talking in a vacuum. So how would the BBC or CNN report on that? And conversely, how would our channels report on the Meghan and Harry wedding? You know, so that's what I am at the moment trying. So it would be a very dry kind of thing on Karnataka. Meanwhile, the fact that Meghan's father hasn't come for the wedding, I mean, times now will take off from that. It would be a international, you know, crisis. So, you know, yeah, I mean, we are far more melodramatic, but then we are more melodramatic, and we should appreciate it. We are. We're not dry. No, Indians in general, I think, we are more melodramatic. We like it. Yes, I think so. I think so. I guess I think so. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So it's the melodramatic nature.
Al Jazeera is a channel that I think is very good because it reflects so many parts of the world that we don't normally see so much about, be it Asia, Middle East, Africa, even mind you, a place like Australia. I see far greater coverage on something like Al Jazeera than I do on BBC. And I think our economic channels actually are again far more informative even in their political debates than I don't even know what to call them now, news channels, so-called news channels, would-be news channels.
So having spent, I'm not going to ask you, having spent a large part of your career at a newspaper with a strong reputation, and watching television, which I suspect, you know, just as a newcomer, I would characterize it as uneven. What do you see the future of journalism in the next decade or so?
You know, there have been a lot of premature obituaries being written, especially in the West. Exaggerated and premature, I think, because although you do see a decline in the print media in the West, especially in the States, Europe is not that bad actually. We are not doing badly in terms of growth. We're still seeing roughly across the media an 11% growth, right? That's uneven. Print is growing a little less, but of course the sunrise industry at the moment is the mobile and the internet and your social media, and that's the world. digital space is where most of the growth is taking place today. Well, because all newsprint outlets have digital platforms, it isn't as bad as it looks for the print media, right? So the growth is there, the growth is in television. You have over, I think now we have 900 and counting TV channels in this country, unprecedented across the globe. There is no other country that has so many.
When did that growth?
Growth, well, I mean, if you look at television, we had, I grew up in 1980, we only had one channel, Doordarshan, and that we watched. It's only in 1992 that it opens up, it begins, the drama, and it's only after 2000, I think, NDTV went 24/7 first in 98, 99? 2000. So 2000, the news 24/7 begins, Arch, everyone. So what? It's a really young industry. It's only 17 years old, TV news, but 24/7 clocking 400 channels and more. Show news, have news in one form or another.
Not 24 hours.
No, 150 and more are 24 news. And mind you, as someone told me, all the local cable operators run their own news channels for local news. You know, that is where we missed out because we haven't commercialized or opened up news to radio. So, I mean, it is growing. There's a lot of possibilities there. I have to add, of course, many of those possibilities are in the regional press, both print-wise and in the television space. The real growth we've seen has been in regional. But, you know, I'm sure most of you speak 2 languages. You can do that. You can be bilingual. There's nothing today, and most of them. And that's the other thing. When some lady I think asked about, well, can you get into print? I don't think today and tomorrow is about one or the other. It is about you being multitasking journalists who have the ability to do everything. That newsroom, if you were to come to the Indian Express or any newsroom, it's an open newsroom now. NDTVs is too. We all sit together in the same space. You will be asked to do a podcast, then you'll be asked to do the video, then you'll be asked to write the story, both for online and for print. You may even have to take the photos when you go out. I don't know, protest, you know, at Jindal Mandir. You'll have to do all of them. You don't have the luxury today of saying, I only do this, right? You have to, and you will be asked to do all of them, right? Okay, you will specialize perhaps in one area, but then again, that's the excitement and the opportunity, because you can do all of those, and therefore you can join almost any media organization, irrespective of whether it is in print, television, online, and now the mobile, which is the biggest. I mean, we are already converting the way we cover the news for the mobile because the Android is just taking over. You all know that, right? You know, doing it, I'm sure your first information report for many of you is not that newspaper which we're trying to get you to read, but Facebook, which quickly gives you some news, and you've done that. I mean, all my students used to do that. So, but it's open to you. You can do that, you know. And in each segment, just take a newspaper like mine. You can be a reporter, you can be a feature writer, you can do reviews, you can edit a page, you can make a page, you can take photographs, you can write opinion, you can edit opinion. So I've already, and you can be sports, economics. I mean, there are about 10, 12 jobs there, right out there, you know. So within each segment, there are multiple possibilities also, right? So I think I can only see growth, and given the kind of times we are living in, where you have so much communication technology has made available to the world, and so there's so much going on, there's so much more everybody therefore wants to know. That what we do in journalism, we give you information, we give you context, and then we ask you to form informed opinions based on what we do, right? So that is only growing, whether it's because of the contentious times we live in, or because there's just so much out there now to understand, whether it's in science or any other subject. You pick it, food, right?
I just read that in the film The Iron Man, we are doing a story this weekend on how Iron Man, the film, that suit he wears in the film, if you've seen the movie, is now being used by sports people to help them with their injuries. So it all feeds in. Hence, as far as I'm concerned, I don't see any reason. It'll change the nature of journalism because it's already changed in the way that I was a mere print journalist. But I'm ending my career by working online to commission 6 analysis pieces a day on developing news. Right? And I used to produce, in the old days, in 1986, when I worked on the Express magazine, I used to produce a magazine 10 days in advance. That is to say, we put it to bed, which is what we called it then. We put the edition to bed on a Wednesday, and what I finished giving, the headline I gave that day, would appear on a Sunday 10 days later. Now, we have to do, the 2-minute noodle news. So, everything has changed, but it's only giving you more opportunities and more variety. And one last thing. Is that okay? No, I'm saying that the last thing is 2. One, why do we do journalism at the undergraduate level? Because it's one way of trying to ensure that you do get a job if you want one in journalism almost immediately. There are some technical skills that you do require now in a way that when we entered, we didn't require. Right? When I am making pages, I make them with a ruler, a pencil. I designed the page with a ruler, a pencil, and a calculator. You can't even imagine how it was done, right? But it was. Now you have to know how. There's skills, there are programs that teach you. You need it for television, you need it for online, you need to know how to make a website. So those are skills. If you come with a degree, you immediately are considered for a job. Which doesn't mean that if you have a degree in another subject you will not be. Obviously you will be, but this is an advantage you carry with you. Secondly, I think, journalism prepares you for any kind of job you want. I know this is a little far out, but the point is it gives you skills, not just writing skills. I have to have the ability to talk now as I am doing, and I hope I'm doing it okay. I can see people yawning, I know it's time lunch. But I'm just saying that you can actually use those skills in almost any profession. Learn to take questions, learn to be critical, learn not to always respect authority, learn to challenge what you're told, learn to use facts, to demand facts about questions. So, learn to ask questions, the most fun, because you have to be very curious if you're a journalist. And I think fundamentally, those skills, apart from the writing and communication skills, you would need them in almost any job you would want to do in the world. And finally, I think what journalism does give you is self-confidence. The ability to go out there and, any of you young people to go to the DIG or police and question him and say, but that murder, what happened? And that just gives you a level of confidence and, that I'm doing this for a purpose. Just helps you, I think, in a way, be a really rounded human being, in a way that I don't know any other job will provide you. There's my PR for the journalism.
Well, I'm going to open this up to the audience in one moment, but I want to make one observation. I think what you're saying in the most articulate and passionate way. I couldn't agree more on most points, in all points. But I also want to say that as much as things have changed, they really haven't changed that much at all. What good journalism is, and the fundamentals, and also some of the, you're talking about the pressure to produce. I mean, my first job was at the Associated Press in the 1960s. And the world was different then. People smoked. And the Associated Press invented a rug, which was a fire retardant rug, so people would throw their cigarettes on the floor. And there would be this smoke-infested room that was clattery and noisy, but it lived by the mantra, there's a deadline every minute in the world. And we're back to that.
Sure. No, I mean, we also smoked in the 80s, but we didn't have that one.
But the deadline every minute, which was a terrific experience back then, I got away from the deadline every minute, and now we're back to that.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how much of an improvement that is, but it's certainly part of it, keeps
No, I think across the board they're all the same. I mean, the fundamentals can't change, and that's what we're here for, right? To teach, not just. I think what's happening today is getting a lot that is masquerading as journalism. And there's journalism, and then there's good journalism, and we're here for good journalism. But I mean, just the fundamentals haven't changed and don't change.
You had said that there are, if I took my notes correctly, there are about 150
Dedicated news channels 24/7.
dedicated news
They
channels.
could be more now.
Could you venture a guess as to how many of those 150 are quality operations?
No, I'm not really qualified to answer this question. I'm not ducking it, but I'm not qualified because most of these are regional channels, and I only speak Hindi and English. I'm not able to understand, let's say, like the Telugu, Tamil. I can't say how good they are. I'm not able to. If you ask me in the Hindi and English, I can tell you. Okay, in Hindi and English, counting, English, Indian channels, you're saying. Gosh. Okay, everything is off the record here. I think in the English space there are probably, I like the economic channels, so that would be CNBC, ET Now, BITV, Mirror Now, LTV, and India Today. 6 or 7, dare I say. At the moment, dare I say 6 or 7. In English, Hindi, the ones that I see, ABP, India TV, yeah.
I feel like I'm monopolizing you. Can we have?
I'm monopolizing it.
No. Are there questions from the audience? We have some time. A half question. Yes.
I mean, I guess one of the things which is of concern is the tabloid journalism which is happening today is actually getting the people away from watching the TV channels, because you really can't determine what's true, what's not, and everything seems just so sensational that it makes no sense.
We agree.
And would that transform this profession, do you believe? Or, we are at a transition point where something different needs to be done, because if it continues like this, you would actually lose your audience.
I think that's why we are here at places like the journalism school, so that people who leave here go out with the right principles and respect for facts. I don't know, my colleague he's going to talk to you about the truth, but if we can just get the students who leave here to stick to facts, to mind the facts, and put them out into the profession, then maybe the fight back has begun. Right, and I think you will see that. I agree with you at some stage. It has to. The worm has to turn. When it's going to be, I don't know. Because the thing is that we don't seem to like these channels, but we also seem to be watching them. We tell people regularly, why do you watch it then? Turn it off. But it's like a soap opera. It's entertainment. News as entertainment. And we've got to take back that space, which doesn't mean that it can't be fun, but it doesn't have to be the kind of, what you're saying, sensational, lack of credibility, I think, right? And, not, playing with facts. Let's not say there are no facts there. Misinformation rather than false these are such grey areas, who knows? And that's why we're here to do, for all the tools that you would need to be able to come to those decisions is what we're hoping you will take away from here when you leave.
How would you?
Oh, no, I'm not getting into this. I don't think it's fair. It's not fair of you to ask it of me, and it's not fair to anybody. I'm not going to get into that one. Then you're going to. I've said whatever I have to in my column, and I don't want to be personal. And I wouldn't be a journalist. It would be wrong. Which is journalism.
You can say it off the record.
I'd rather not go there.
When I talk about journalism as a whole, then why people are always asking this fact that why they are critical. So what is the need of being critical rather than being cynical in that case?
I think we're asking you to use your critical faculties. To be critical doesn't mean to be negative always. It means that you look at something, you question it, you analyze it, and you see, to come out. What you find may not be all bad, although, in the old days the definition of news was that it has to be bad news, Dog bites man is not news. Man bites dog is 72-point headline news. You and I agree, right? You would read the story. Would you read the story about, you'd see a little item on the dog bites the man. But you would definitely read if it was the other way around. So unfortunately, it also lies in us, right? The fault lies in us, the reader, the consumer. Where's my colleague who's going to be talking about these things? Yes, thank you. Yes, consumption. So, it's interactive, isn't it? And so, to use your critical faculties is what we are hoping. I don't think that means that we think everything is terrible and negative, but someone has to point it out a little and give you a balanced point of view. You make up your mind.
And now, if I talk about social media as taking over the spaces in the journalism as a whole, how journalism, or I say print media, is going to be effective in supposedly 20 to 30 years after when social media is taking over the place?
I think we already believe it's taken over the space, right? Twitter is now, I know all my colleagues in the newsroom, go to Twitter, first thing. They all say, I'm not on Twitter because, there's only one thing I can do at a time. But it drives me insane, but all my colleagues are on Twitter because that's where everyone's putting out their opinions, that's where they're sharing stories, whatever, all of you who are already still practicing, isn't it? It's not just me.
So now there will be a pause.
Digital coffee.
Sorry?
It's not on digital coffee.
Okay, great.
So we wake up, to a rather disturbing routine every morning, the entire world, and it's called digital coffee. So you go through your Twitter feeds before you do anything else, and you get to know what's happening around the world.
Then you go to Facebook, and then you go to your mail to see what someone's forwarded to you, and then we all have WhatsApp groups, and the WhatsApp is playing a role. So in that sense, people say, but how are you a journalist? I'm also a journalist. I put out news, I put out views, I'm writing on Facebook, I'm writing on my Twitter. Yes, that's true. That's what we call so-called citizen journalism. But I think why we're here is to teach you that there is a difference, right, between the kind of unfiltered, if that's a good word, because he's talking about coffee. Is there where there are some kind of gatekeepers and filters to make sure, to the extent that it is possible for us, that what we put out is as close to the facts as possible. Forget about the truth. So yes, I think that's already happened, and that's why I said there's no question about just being a print journalist. You would have to know how to shoot or write something for mobile. A lot of my colleagues are now writing their edit opinion pieces on the phone, in the car. Unheard of. We used to sit there with the typewriter, the music of the typewriter, you remember that? And then you have to think. So you thought, wonderful, splendid. Out we go for a smoke. Because what do you need? Why do you smoke? Because I need to think, and I can't think without that. Then I have to put the paper back and it helps me think. so it's already all changed from that. It's lovely. But
This is a non-smoking cannabis.
I gave up long ago. I'm sure. And they should be allowed to, I think it's wrong. Okay.
I have a question. I'm already a student here. My name is Deepa. So you said whenever you have to turn on a channel and critique it, basically, you try to watch channels which you dislike because you want to know why you dislike it. But then you're also saying that you want to put out opinions that are well informed, right? But when you're watching channels you dislike, aren't you automatically making connections to the channels you like and why you like them? And how doesn't that come in the way of it sometimes?
I'm sure it does. I'm sure my biases show through. I try to back the opinion with, as I said, I have to have some factual background, some substance for what I say. I can't just say that I love Republic. Right? I can't just say I absolutely love Republic. Who asked me that question? Yes. Then, yeah, everything's on the record. But I have to be able to tell you why, and why me, and why don't I like Zee Hindustan. I can't just say it, right? So yeah, I mean, but I do watch the other one. It's just that I watch these other ones more. But I have been, and some people have, I think it's point well made, that maybe good practices should be pointed out more, rather than being critical, as the young man up there said. Maybe I should change. Yeah. Except that, you don't find it very boring if you say, well, Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi was a very nice serial for all of those who were old enough to have watched it. And by the way, see, look at the connection. Smriti Irani is now in politics, and there she was as Tulsi for all of you who saw it many years ago. She was a TV star, so who knows what you might start writing about and where you may end up, God help us all.
Other questions?
Shannon.
Well,
Thank you everybody, and see you in July.